Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superstylin with Connor and Taff. I am Connor. I am joined by Taff. Taff, how are you feeling? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not so bad. Not so bad. I'm looking forward to the weekend. It's an exciting weekend. We have the Europa League draw on Friday and our first home game on Sunday. Um, Hoping it's going to be a full house. There'll be barely any Fulham fans there, and
I think they've
yeah,
got about
everything can
eight
change.
hundred or something. I think they're taking.
That many?
I think that's what I
80,
heard.
85?
Yeah. They've always been. This is something that used to grate on me when I was like younger. Was the
Yeah.
away-ins, especially when we were in the Premier League like 15 years ago, where like we'd play Aston Villa on a Tuesday night and they'd have like 300 people there. I'm like, they're meant to be a big club. Why have they only got 300
Oh.
people here?
They'll be slinging that into propaganda, saying never happened.
Did the 1-2-0. James Milner scored an unbelievable goal. I remember the night well.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was as low as 200, but they only had one block.
I saw somebody trolling a Coventry fan earlier because they've been loving being back in the Premier League, the Coventry fans,
Obviously.
and they've been trying to troll everybody who will listen to them. And somebody pointed out that not too long ago they had a crowd of 2,000 to watch a game.
Is that when they were playing at Northampton or Birmingham?
Something like that. Something like that.
I mean,
yeah.
I do think. I mean, I'm no lover of Coventry City, not by any stretch, but I do think it's a nice story for them because if you told them when they were playing it, because they were only playing it, they were ground sharing at Birmingham like 5 years ago, something like that. It wasn't even that long ago.
Yeah.
So like, it's pretty. I mean, we talk about our story. I mean, we're obviously a far bigger club, but our story and
Well,
their
I would
story.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny. I had a meeting today for the tours for the season,
Yeah.
and it was Rob Mason was sort of talking me through it, and he had like almost a passionate speech at the end talking about how Sunderland are one of the most important football clubs in the country, and don't let anyone forget it. We had 6 top division titles by World War II, the most of any other team in the country. Don't diminish.
It's all good stuff.
Yeah, don't diminish what we are as a football club, and don't let anyone do it. And I was like, yeah, go on, Rob, let them have it.
I don't think anybody does do that. Yeah, no, I don't think anybody does. The trouble is, it is a long time ago, and we need to sort of get back to being consistently in the Premier League. That's what we want, don't we?
Yeah, I mean that we want to be consistently getting into Europe and doing fun things, reaching cup finals, etc.
Yeah.
That would be the dream.
2020. Is that COVID?
Yeah.
2020, Coventry had a lowest league attendance of 4,600. And if you go back to 2014, which is just over 10 years ago, their lowest league attendance was 1,600. In fact, their average was 2,300 over the entire season that year. So
Was that when they were
they
in
got a lot of new
Northampton?
fans. I've got no idea. Maybe. Must have been.
I think
of no other reason.
I mean the
They
club.
went
was,
from 10,000 to 2,000 to 9,000. So that must have been then.
Yeah, I mean they had a bruising period.
Yeah.
I don't even know why they left Highfield Road. That always felt like a decent stadium. I don't understand why they left for the Rico that they didn't own. It made no sense.
No.
Maybe a
No.
Coventry fan watching this will go, this is why. Anyway, we're not really here to talk about Coventry City. What are
No.
we here to talk about today?
Well, whatever we like. I've got a couple of things I want to talk about. Basically, super styling, I think we're just going to do every week about the things that catch our eye in the football that week. But while we're on Coventry, I just want you to have a think about the promoted sides. And you've seen all 3 of them now. I watched all 3 of their games this weekend. And I just want you to put them in order of, let us imagine, for the sake of argument, that they were 18th, 19th, and 20th. Although I think one of them might survive, but we'll get to that in a minute. But if you had to put them into order of best to worst, what would they be? I know it's only one game,
I
and
know,
a lot can change.
Do you know what's really interesting is when you look at the results over the weekend, I don't think you can necessarily learn a lot about some of the teams because if you're, for example, Hull, right? Hull played an FA Cup style match. They had 28% of the ball.
Yeah.
They won it on set pieces. They played very, very well. I'm not diminishing what they did. They played
It was
fantastic.
a great game to watch.
Yeah, it was. But when Hull play a team like Fulham at home, they can't sit and play with 28% of the ball. So what happens in that instance? And I think it's really interesting to look at other teams. Like Newcastle had 40% of the ball and they were playing that transitional game. I thought Newcastle deserved to win their game against Liverpool. But when you play the other teams of your level, you can't play in that style. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how those teams cope. Back to the original question, though. I think Ipswich, I was pretty adamant Ipswich were the strongest of the three. And I've seen enough to suggest Ipswich would be still pretty strong. I think you'd have to say Hull would be second because Coventry just did not lay a glove and didn't look particularly good. I
know. But also they were playing the champions away from home first game. I mean, you know, they won't be the only team to go there and get thrashed.
This weekend though, you've got Coventry playing Hull.
Like
if Coventry lose that game and Hull win, I know it's only the second game of the season, but like, what does that tell? Does that tell you anything, or is it too early? Because we obviously lost against Burnley last season, second game, and it didn't hurt us.
Yeah, but we won the first game. But if you have no points and you've lost to the hot favourites to be relegated
at home,
I think the mentality is very difficult. And you do look at Coventry's team and you think it isn't good enough. I think you'd be worried. It's not like they're signing a top-class midfielder in Granit Xhaka. It's not, or the players, best centre-half in the voted division in Alderete. It's not like they're doing these sorts of things. I think I agree with you. I think Coventry have looked the worst, but playing the champions away from home is not really a good marker. And I'm led to believe that they didn't have a lot of their signings necessarily starting that game.
No, they didn't. But it'd be very interesting playing at home, because that's the other thing. If you start at home, like, you get a massive boost starting at home. When you look at the results at the weekend, there was a lot of positive home performances.
I think did almost all of the home teams.
Leeds won at Forest, which was a big result. But
the last minute.
Yeah, but that's like, to go to Forest and get that win is, I think, pretty good. I think like that's a bit of a statement from Leeds getting that. Not saying it'll necessarily mean that they'll be pushing top 6 or 7, but I think.
Well, they're playing Forest again tonight, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, they are. And then they've got a game at the weekend, which I think is pretty winnable.
It was only Fulham and Forest that failed to win. Everybody else won at home.
So Leeds are playing
Newcastle through
Brentford, but Newcastle very easily could have won. I mean, it's a last-minute penalty, which I felt was contentious. I know that Danny Collins has been on the socials saying that it wasn't, but I did. I watched it. I thought it was absolutely clear penalty. Do you think?
I mean, it's getting given every single time. I'm pretty sure.
No, alright. I think that when I watched it, I thought it was a penalty, and it's not like I'm watching it and going, "Oh, that's a terrible decision from the referee." Like, I can see why it's a penalty, but I just sort of think them penalties where it's like Lewis Hall, it doesn't really do anything to give it away. Like, the other guy puts it's knee on knee, and they're both just kind of running at each other. I just felt it was a bit harsh. Don't think Lewis Hall can do anything different.
If that is not given for Brian Brobby at the weekend and the game finishes 0-0.
Obviously level 10. I think it probably is a penalty. I felt, but I didn't feel bad for Lewis Hall because I don't care, but I felt bad in the instance of looking at it being like, like that's such a, Munoz has bought the penalty. That's probably how it describes.
What do you make of Newcastle then? Are they better than we thought?
I thought they were good. I thought they were good yesterday.
They were good against Liverpool, but I think Liverpool are frail at the back. I think they'll get better. I think Newcastle are frail at the back, but they brought another couple of players in. They're building a decent side there, and I don't think they're going to be any pushovers.
I think it depends how quickly it all gels, because obviously Nico Gonzalez looks like he's going in there, but he was brought in to be the Rodri replacement at Man City, and they've just sold Rodri and they're still selling him. So the feeling must be that he's not of the level for them. I
still don't know how it's going to go. But I don't think they're a relegation side unless it all goes very badly with a couple of injuries and the manager loses the plot. All of those things are possible, but I don't really see it. So, I mean, we made some predictions about a week or two out from the season. Again, it's a bit daft because it's only week 1, but which of them do you think you got wrong?
What do you mean for, the season ahead?
Yeah, for final place predictions. Which of them do you think you got wrong?
Okay, let's. I just need to make
I
sure
mean,
I've got this loaded up.
yeah, I have Villa and Spurs in sixth. One, two, three. Yeah, sixth and seventh. And after the weekend results, that looks a particularly dicey
Yeah,
suggestion. They
yeah.
both were absolutely hammered
I
um,
I'm feeling
by
pretty.
teams that we would have thought would be, you know, top half or sort of round about ninth, 10th. They both got absolutely pasted.
So I had Spurs 11th. I'm feeling pretty good about that because that's
Okay.
I didn't fall for that Spurs. I mean, it's one
I had
game
them
the Spurs
seventh. I
has.
had them seventh.
I had
100 million pound midfielder made
he
zero
was
difference
so
to them.
bad. He was so bad. I had Villa 5th, which I still think Villa could get 5th.
But look at the team they put
I
out.
know, but I trust the manager.
Oh, he's going to have to work miracles. Watkins is almost certainly off, isn't he?
Yeah, but I think they'll do business before the end of the window. You've got to remember the last 2 seasons have started really crap as well.
Let's imagine that they're now desperate for players to come in, and they scoop us on Jenny Katama because we didn't want to pay an extra 3 million because they've got the money to do it because they've sold so many.
Yeah,
Would
but
that annoy you? Yes.
no, it would annoy me if they don't bring somebody else in. But like, it'll not annoy me in the sense that I think they'll do what they need to do. But I mean, they're leaving it late. We're sat here on the Tuesday. It's a week until deadline day.
Yeah, I think they're going to let it go to the wire, and it's a case of who blinks first on the price. And the thing that bothers me, I said this the other day, the thing that bothers me is they have form for saying if it's not the right profile and not the right price, I'm not doing it. I will wait.
I think though, yeah, you're playing a risky game there. I
Yes,
think
you are.
if Sunderland don't,
We waited 530 or 570 days to replace our striker with Ross Stewart. They,
no,
they, they,
I
if it's
think
not the right price, they'll do
that's
it.
different. I think that's different because I think at that point you are sort of tight for money. Like they were trying to get the right player in. I mean, they did buy in forwards, it just didn't work. I mean, they brought in Mayenda, which didn't obviously work initially. They brought in Hemia, which didn't work initially. They brought in Rusin, which didn't work. So like,
Rusin was very poor, wasn't he?
they were all pretty poor in that first
But I
season.
think you could see that how poor Rusin was at the start, but nobody really wanted to say it. They wanted to give him a chance and hope for the
Yeah,
best.
he was really bad. He was really bad.
Um,
But they did it wrong. But they did try to get
okay,
that done.
all right.
I think in the Premier League, when you've got that money behind you and you are risking, what would relegation cost the football club? It would cost the football club hundreds of millions. So if they
They're not going to.
weren't, yeah, if you weren't to do that, if you weren't to get the players in to cover that position, then
Yeah,
you are running a serious risk. But yeah, I did enjoy though that the Robin Roofs news about him signing a new deal.
2031. Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you not a bit surprised that no one has been sold this window?
yeah. Well, I think we all expected one to go, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we did.
Do
Now,
you,
do you think that that's because there have been no buyers
nah.
or because we've just said get lost?
I think that they probably thought that they would need to sell a player for like 40 to 50 million. I think because they sold Mayenda and they've sold Patterson. And have we sold anyone else? Mayenda and Patterson, though, was about 35 million. I think they probably just thought, well, we can get away with not selling.
And we've shifted a load of people.
Yeah,
I mean, we still have Abdullah Bar and
somehow.
yeah, and we still have
Him here.
Hamir. Yeah.
So,
Can
I
you
am a bit
believe that we
surprised.
still have Lewis Hamir on the books? And Elliot Embleton is a non-league footballer.
God, the Elliot Embleton thing, that upsets me because he was such a good
He's only
footballer.
27,
I
and
know.
he set everything off with that blazing goal in the player final League One,
Yeah.
and now he's a non-league footballer at 27.
Had he, though, not had injuries, he probably would have been a top-end championship, lower Premier League player. Had he not had the injuries he had when he was like a kid.
Yeah,
Because he was part of that England under 17 World Cup winning team. Like
yeah.
he was top level prospect at Sunderland. I think the only reason why he didn't really leave Sunderland was because he was injured. It's the same with that Adam Richardson. He was meant to be going to Man United, but he got that injury. Goalkeeper.
Goalkeeper. He was a big lad. We've heard nothing from him since that sort of Shields debut. Is the last time I saw him a couple of years ago with
Yeah,
Mowbray.
I think
Remember?
he's still at the club.
I think he is, but I've seen him not hiding a hair of him.
Yeah. If you actually look at though, I did this in the book. If you look at the players that were sold, do you know that era under Donald where they sold loads of academy players?
And we all complained they were selling off our assets. None of them have made it.
None of them have done particularly much. I think
No.
McConnell, who's at Liverpool, I think is he just signed for Bolton? I want to say.
I remember the big one was the forward who went to Man United. I can't remember his name now.
Oh, Hugo.
No. No, thank you. No, not Hugo. There was a. Oh yeah, it was. It was Hugill, Joe Hugill. Yeah, he was up there.
I think he's went on a free transfer somewhere. I think he's gone from Man United.
Yeah, well, he didn't do anything there. He didn't score nearly enough, did he?
I don't even know. Did he play? He's currently at Kilmarnock. Did he play for Man United? He
played under 21s, but he never played for their first team.
Yeah, he never played for the first team. He only played, crikey, for Man United under 21s. He barely even played for them.
He didn't do very well there either.
He had a loan at Altrincham, Burton Albion, Wigan, Carlisle, and Barnet, and he scored a total of 11 goals in 78 games for all of them.
Yeah. Speaking of prospects, the other night, the under 21s thrashed Nottingham Forest 5-1. And there was a standout player, according to everybody who watched it, who was also a standout player at the South Shields preseason game where we played the under 21s. We haven't heard anything from him.
Is this the one James mentioned on Twitter?
Yeah, this is Munyakazi, Munyakazi. He's a sort of defensive midfielder, and he's only 16. So this apparently, according to everyone who saw him at Shields, because he got rave reviews there, and everybody who saw him against Forest, he didn't get on the score sheet. There were no assists in the rout, but apparently he just looked really aggressive and positive, breaking up play, striking forward, and playing passes easily. But you know what it's like with prospects, particularly when they're very young. People say world beater, and it's at 16, it's still a long way to the pro contract in the first team, I think. But an interesting person to keep an eye on, Kei Munyakazi, is the lad. And if you have a membership of the club, a lot of these under 21 games are televised now, or will be if they're at the Stadium of the Night.
They are.
Or even the ones at Eppleton will be televised on the website.
I think everyone is televised.
Well, this will be good.
Maybe not it may not be the away games, because the away games are probably televised by the opposition. But
yeah,
should be able to get them.
So it will be interesting to keep an eye on him and see if he lives up to his early promise. But we may be stacked for defensive midfielders with Ahulka coming in as well.
What do you make of that one? We haven't talked about Ahulka coming in.
Well, Royal Antwerp are absolutely gutted to lose him.
Yeah.
It came as a shock, and they're gutted to lose him. It seems like a steal. And he has started the season absolutely on fire in the Belgian league. I don't know how much stock you post in numbers from the SofaScore and FOTMob, but he, 2 consecutive games at like 8.6. And he was, I don't think he's a long-term target. I think that, watching how Jocelyn Tarby did in the Toulon tournament, I can't remember which round. Is it now the Maurice Ravello, or was it then and it's now the Toulon?
No, it's now the Maurice Ravello. I just call it the Toulon tournament because
that's how it used to be called. Yeah. So I think that he was a standout player in that, and I think that people who at the club were probably watching Tarby to see how he did and noticed this fellow, said, "Wow, this kid's good," and have then gone to check him. And I'm assuming that, and then watched him at the start of this season and thought, dynamite.
Well, there's very little information on Ahulka, because when I've Googled it and been on all the different stat websites, being on YouTube, there's very little, because it looks like he's basically just got into the Toulon tournament, but before that had not played any senior football. He played 2 games at the end of last season, but other than that, has played virtually no senior football.
Yeah.
Go on. No, you go.
Well, at the start of the transfer window, the club also said we're not really looking for a central midfielder. a defensive midfielder transfer. So
Yeah.
it does make me think that they saw him at the Toulon tournament and then investigated him and thought,
See,
wow.
I,
And
I've
James got stiffed by people at the club,
well, I was just about to say.
accidentally. Yeah,
I was just about to say though, like I think sometimes the stuff that comes out of the clubs is bollocks. I think they just they let things out that they want out, and they don't let anything out that they don't want out. And I think that there's other clubs like I see with
yeah,
Newcastle with Nico Gonzalez again, not learning the lesson. All that transfer is playing out in public, just waiting for somebody else to gazump them if they wanted to. Whereas we play everything so quietly. Don't think that they maliciously had told James they're not interested in a Hoga. But I do think when they told journalists that they weren't interested in a central midfielder, it's like, well, I think it's obvious that they were going to be interested in a central midfielder because they had to sign one. They're not stupid.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that often when we get sort of fed bits of information like that, I just think you have to take it with a pinch of salt, because I just think that the club are really
Fair enough.
quite... they just manage the media and they let the media work for them, not vice versa.
Therefore, when we said it's not really a priority to get a left-footed centre half, we're definitely looking for one. Then is that right?
Probably, yeah. I mean, I think I've seen a lot of people say, why didn't they pay the money for Mihajlovic? But he's looked good for Leeds. There's no denying it. But like, could we spend 40 million on Mihajlovic? Like, and then
Not if we're going to spend 40 million on Katamo and 25 million on Matali. That's 105 million, and you're still yeah. No, I don't think we could.
But I also think that there's a conversation, like, why is the Premier League operating at 85% on SCR, but yet Europe operates at 70%? I don't understand why the Premier League's not just in line with Europe at 70%. Because that means that next summer, right? So if Sunderland don't qualify for Europe next season, let's say they finish 14th
we've
and
got loads of money
don't do
to
anything,
spend.
Sunderland will literally be able to spend like 150 million next summer.
Yeah.
Because of the 15% change, and obviously the presumption they'll probably sell like a player. They'll be able to spend an absolute fortune, but this summer they've had to tighten that. If we'd finished 9th, where Brentford finished, we would have had so much more money to spend, and that's like so counterintuitive to this team's got into Europe. I think it benefits, like the big boys at the top, it benefits because they are used, like their revenues are so high, it doesn't really make a difference. But like for aspirational clubs, Villa, Sunderland, Newcastle, Brighton, the ones that are trying to push into that market.
Oh no, no, you're good.
Oh, what happened? Did I freeze? No.
Oh, I think I'm good. I think it's you. You're
okay.
fine. You're fine. Carry on.
All them aspirational clubs, are being royally stitched up by that number, the 70%, when the rest of the Premier League is at 85.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, the club seem confident that we can go underneath that, but you do look at the money and think we can't afford to buy Mihajlovic. He does look like a steal. Not a steal. I mean, you have to pay good money for him, but he does look like a good player. I do have a couple of other things I want to talk about.
Yeah.
I just wondered, given that we did the promote. Oh yeah, you didn't really tell me. You didn't really tell me about your mistake. I thought you look at the weekend's results from Villa and Spurs. I had them 6th and 7th, and I thought, wow, I've got that very wrong. And I just wondered if there are any of your predictions you think you got wrong.
If I look at the Premier League table now, I think I'd stand by my bottom 3 of Hull, Coventry, and Fulham, but I think Crystal Palace might be the one that's sneak in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I am going to stick by it. It's only week 1. I'm going to stick by my bottom 3. I'm going to say Ipswich stay up. I still think Palace will be rubbish, 16th. Everton 15th. I'm happy with that. Newcastle 14th. I'm not sure. I think Sunderland might drop down to like 14th. I've got them in 12th at the minute. But again, that's not a massive error. I also think Leeds are going to be pushing top 8.
Yeah. Well,
I've got them
it'll be interesting how SCR would affect them if they did, given the amount of money they spent last year and this year. They surely would be in a bit of trouble.
I don't think they want to finish in Europe. I think that they're like...
Not with their current SCR of the last 2 years. It's nowhere near going to be 70%. Surely not.
No, they'll have to sell players if they got in Europe. I think Leeds are like... If they're set on with 4 games to go in 8th place, I don't think they're pushed to get into Europe.
Did you see their owner's just been jailed for prostitution in America?
I did see that. Yeah, not good.
Yes. No, not good. Not good. I
Not
think it was
good.
only for a day though, or 2 days.
It's still not good.
It's still not good. No,
No.
no. Never mind. Who's going to get the sack then? Who is going to not last the season? Probably about a third of the division, but
Who's not going to last? If I was going to pick a first person to be sacked,
wait. I think I know. Go on. Our favourite manager.
Our favourite manager. Michael Carrick?
Yeah.
Nah, I don't think Man United will sack him straight away. I think unless
He doesn't last the season, surely.
No, I don't think he lasts the season, but he'll go in like January or something. Okay. If I was going to pick one to get sacked early doors, I think I'd possibly pick. Ooh. I'm looking at the league table now, and I can't really see an obvious one. I mean, you'd have to look at like Glasner at Forest, wouldn't you? Because their managers are their owners are a bit of a, I was going to say a nutcase, but he sues people for that. He's trigger happy.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe Glasner. If Forest keep on a bad start, I mean they've only lost one game, but who do you think had the worst weekend this weekend of all the teams?
Oh, who had the worst weekend?
Villa.
Oh. Well, I mean, my instant response was Villa, but then Spurs have spent so much money and got absolutely battered. And you think about De Zerbi as a manager, and he's not known for his defensive organisation. And so you look at that, and you've got to worry. And you said at the start of the season, can they really jump from 17th to anywhere decent in the table? And they've spent a lot of money, like 200+ million, 230 million or something.
Yeah.
So you have to look at that and think, oh, they're going to be really disappointed because everybody thought they might be there now. I think you look at Chelsea. Everyone thought Chelsea second or third, and they were. I know that they've got an awesome front line and they created some great goals, but for portions of the game they were bossed by Fulham, who everyone thinks is a relegation candidate. Yeah. So you look, Chelsea fans have got to come away from that and say, have we expected too much? And I think it's a classic case of people rating the manager over the players. Are they really suddenly a superior team because they've got Welbeck and Henderson? Not especially.
Do you know what my view on the Premier League is? Is that we are at a stage now where we've got Arsenal, who are clearly the best team. Arsenal clearly the best team. I think after Arsenal, the rest of the league is a much of a muchness. I do not think there is. I'm not saying that you could end up with Crystal Palace finishing second, but I don't think the gap between Liverpool and Everton is huge. I don't think the gap between Chelsea and Sunderland is particularly big. I think that you've got a clearly superior team at number one, Arsenal. I think you've got maybe the newly promoted teams, but again, they were all Ipswich and Hull had good results, so we can't necessarily judge them. Yeah. I just think everyone else in the league is very muddled.
I think things tight. Are possible. Yeah, it is tight. And part of the reason is, I think there are two reasons for this. One is that there's so much money in the Premier League, and the number of teams have been reasonably stable in the Premier League, that you are able to accumulate across the entire Premier League an enormous number of really seriously good players. And it doesn't matter if Man City buy some of the best players. There are another 100 players out there who are almost just as good. And then it comes down to, can you have a manager that organises things well? And this is the second point. The second point is that all of the teams, pretty much from 5th to 15th, play the same kind of football. They are very tight. They press very high. They act to go on the break. And it's hard to break them down. And if you try to win a game, you can end up being spanked for it. And there isn't really much difference in the way that Brighton or Sunderland play, but wildly different results at the weekend.
Yeah.
So I just think, and you've got Man United there flapping around, who seem to have not been paying attention to anything, still can't break down a low block, and don't look like they've got any ideas to do so anytime soon. So I do, I think those two things have put a massive number of players in to the league that are all pretty good. And I never used to worry about this. People say, oh, we'll never be able to compete because we can't buy the players that Man City could buy. I say, yeah, no, you're right. but we could probably buy another 11 players who are almost as good as that, like really close good, because there are so many good players you can have.
Yeah.
And a team can only really have you can only really have 35 of those sorts of players in your squad, unless you're Chelsea, and then you got 48, 50 of them.
But the thing, if you
and
look
you
at,
can't sell any of them. Why would you sign for Chelsea?
I don't know. Money is the only thing I think.
If you're Gittins and you signed, if you're Gittins and Delap, you signed for Chelsea and you never play and your career just dies, like Disasi.
But Delap went for 30 million to Chelsea. They've just sold him for 50. He had an awful season. Awful.
I think that Chelsea had a buyback clause on him when he went to Ipswich that got the price that low. Was it not?
No, it was Man City Academy. There was a release. Okay. There was a release clause in Delap's contract.
That's right. Delap's would only sign for them. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. If he had a low release clause. Yeah.
Another bit of transfer news: Ipswich.
Where did he go for 50 million? I've missed that.
Forest of buying him.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I don't think that's the answer.
No, I don't either. I'm glad we're not interested in Liam Delap.
Yeah, me too.
Just before we move on, Ipswich close to signing Bayer Leverkusen's Ezekiel Palacios. 27.5 million euros.
Yeah.
What do you make that one? First World Cup winner.
Is he a winger?
No, central midfielder. He's the new Xhaka. Or their Xhaka.
Is he? The new Xhaka. Look, they're putting together a decent squad. I think Ipswich's problem was that the quality of their substitutes were deeply, deeply worse than what was on the pitch to start with. And I think they will struggle. I think Fatawu and Enciso stood out. I know that Emerson got some plaudits as well, but I didn't think he was that great.
I thought he was a bit of a handful for us.
Yeah. Is he going to be a consistent handful in the Premier League? I'm not certain about that. But they got some good players. They played quite well. The depth is the worry. And that's always going to be the struggle with the promoted teams. But I think they've got the best chance out of all of the promoted teams. I think that will take them over our spend last year, won't it?
Yeah, comfortably, yeah. Which is interesting because they've still got that first year they're in the Premier League where they spent. So, I don't know what their SCR position must be, but they've got that 100-odd million they spent year one. They got relegated, presumably made a loss when they got relegated, you would think. Because
I don't know.
You obviously get parachute. I saw they sold a few players. Maybe their wage bill wasn't particularly high because they bought so many championship level players.
Yeah.
But they've still spent probably close to 300 million in 2 summers.
Yeah.
And whatever they spent last summer. I don't know what that was. Anyway, should we move on? Because you sent me an image before.
I did send you an image. This is the only thing that's come pre-prepared. Yeah, this is the West Brom handball decision. Yeah. This happened in the first or second game of the season?
Game, opening day.
Yeah. So this was the West Brom handball, and I just think it was really hard to see. I watched it in full time, and I can see why it's missed, because he jumps up and his leg is right near his hand, like you can see in the image there. But this was a handball. The goal stood, and there was no VAR in the division, because if EFL change the rules, then all of the clubs will have to have VAR, and they can't all, because in League 1 and 2 and stuff like that. Anyway, the manager went on a rant afterwards and said, he named off the 85 divisions that have VAR, and why don't we? And it's ridiculous. But that wasn't the point. There's always going to be these arguments over VAR and stuff, and goals that don't stand or do stand. But what I found really, really odd and staggering was that he got a retrospective ban for that handball.
Yeah.
A two-match ban because the referee missed it. It's not his fault. I think he's jumped for it. Maybe he's used his hand, but I just think that the referees failed to do their job, and the assistant linesmen failed to do their job properly, and the result is that he has a 2-match ban, and the club lose out. We think that's outrageous.
I also think Norwich don't benefit from that. So Norwich are the wronged party. They're the ones who had that goal go against them. So they don't get anything from Heggbo missing 2 games. West Brom obviously lose a player for 2 games. But also, where does this sit on a precedent? Because I'd seen, if
that's what
Tati Cassianis, I don't know if you saw this, he did an awful dive at the weekend, didn't get a penalty for it. but he tried to con the referee by diving. Does he not get a 2-game ban? I mean, also, if Heggbo got caught handballing it and they gave the foul, he would have got a yellow card. So we're retrospectively saying because he got away with it, he gets a 2-game ban. It doesn't sit right with me.
Surely the correct outcome was if you've seen it, you give him a yellow card, and it adds to his tally of
Yeah, that would have made sense.
But I just think you can't retrospectively ban him because the referee failed to do his job well enough. I think that's terrible.
What's he expected to do?
It is the precedent.
Like
it's the precedent.
Yeah, but do you know if, let's say for example, it won't happen in the Premier League, but let's say when we're in the Championship and it happened with our player, and let's just say Rusin scored a goal, heaven forbid, off his arm, it goes in, and he then went to the referee or the teammates and went, "Oh, do you know what, lads? I hit my arm and went in. So we're going to let you score a goal." Is that what you say?
There was Thierry Henry did not fess up against Ireland in the playoff, did he?
But the thing is, they're professional footballers. Like, their job is to win a game at all costs. Their job is not, like, they are employed by the football club to win a game of football. Their job is not to necessarily be, I know they should have sportsmanship, but their job is first of all to win a game. And Heggbo doing the handball, I'm not sure if he's intentionally meant to do it, but he's thrown anything he can in front of it and it's ended up going in. He's doing his job and it's up to the referee. And I feel sorry for the referee because I think it's a hard one to see. And I feel sorry for Norwich because they're the ones who've obviously been screwed out the result. But I just sort of think, I think it sets a very dangerous precedent going forward.
I agree, and I do think that it's perfectly valid now. If somebody dives and gets a penalty for it, retrospectively, we should be banning them for 2 games. If the penalty is converted.
I'm actually not even that bothered. Like, I think that if you're caught diving, I don't necessarily hate retrospectively banning people for it because it would nip it in the bud.
Okay.
But I think for the handball thing, well, I mean, I think that if you're going to start doing it, then I suppose you do it for everything, don't you? If you win a penalty through a dive, it's a yellow card offence, isn't it? So
did you see that the ball from the Mexico '86 World Cup that Maradona handballed into the net? That ball went up for auction and sold for like $2 million or something.
Wow.
Did you see that?
See
Apparently Peter Shilton tried to bid, but he couldn't get his hands up high enough.
Hey.
Let's move on.
So did the ball actually sell for $2 million, or were you just setting up the joke?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, that's not my joke either. That's Eddie75 on Twitter. I saw that for.
Oh, okay.
I thought about saving it for propaganda. Maybe we'll bring it back there. I don't know.
It's
a good joke. Shilton tried to bid for it, but couldn't get his hands up. Yeah. I just have one more point to note.
Okay.
Tomorrow night,
which is
Wednesday. The draw for the 3rd round of the League Cup goes out, and they've had to do it in a particularly special way, haven't they?
Yeah, because if there's some teams that are in Europe and there's some that, so I think from memory, this is all coming from memory, I think Sunderland are not in Europe. Is that right?
No. Sunderland are in Europe. They're one of eight teams. Yeah.
So when is being in Europe the good one? Does that mean that you play like teams like AC Milan and Juventus? Is that the good? Is that what you want to do?
Maybe, although everyone seems to think it's a terrible thing for us and we'll be relegated. But yeah, no. Generally speaking, being in Europe is considered a good, successful sign.
That must mean that all the big teams are in Europe then.
They are, in fact. Yeah, all of the big teams are in Europe. So Arsenal and Man City, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Man United.
So there are these 8 teams. These 8 teams, big teams. I mean, big teams. You might now want to refer to the Big 8 rather than the Big 6.
Maybe.
Yeah. So we have these 8 teams, and they all go into something called Pot 1 on their own.
So Pot 1 is clearly the good pot.
Pot 1 are like the sort of champion teams, the creme of the Premier League,
the top ones.
And tomorrow, they're so special that those 8 teams will be drawn out first, so we don't have to wait to see where we are in the draw.
I've got another question here.
Yeah.
So obviously tonight I can see that there's these games happening in the Carabao Cup.
Oh yeah.
So obviously these 8 teams must be playing at this stage as well to get into the next round.
No. The teams playing tonight are not as good. They're what you might call games tonight. They are like second round qualifiers. That's what they're like.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Right.
I mean, it might appear that there are some Premier League teams in there, but they're very minor ones. And so these teams, they all get thrown into a pot, along with all of the other, not very good teams from the
Have you got
Championship
any
and League One and League Two.
examples of these small teams?
Well, teams like Leeds or Chesterfield or Newcastle or Gillingham, those sorts of teams. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're all kind of grouped together
To be fair,
as the others, the not
Yeah.
so good others. And
Yeah.
there will, after tonight's game's resolved, there will be 24 of them in pot 2, the others, the not so good others. And in pot 1 are the Super 8. I think the Super 8 is a good name.
Your guess it is, yeah, the Super 8. I like that.
So the Super 8 will be drawn out first because we don't want to make them waste their time by waiting for the full 24.
Obviously.
So the Super 8 will be drawn out first, and one team in the Super 8 pot will be drawn out against one of the 24 in the not so good other pot. And so I just was interested in the fact that we've gone from a Big 6 to a Super 8 now.
Yeah.
This is confirmed by the League Cup draw that will happen Wednesday night. Yeah,
that's exciting.
Amazing.
See, because I just sort of when you mentioned like some of the teams in pot 2, it did fit with me putting teams like say a Doncaster in there with like a Leeds or a Newcastle. Or, them teams do in my head fit together quite nicely like a glove.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I would agree. Whereas Cambridge United and West Ham and things like that.
I mean, the Super 8 as well. I've just had a look in, Bournemouth. They are a Goliath of the game.
Well, they were nearly Champions League, weren't they?
Yeah, Goliath of the game. You've got Brighton in there, and everyone knows Brighton.
Well, Brighton just spanked the Europa League winners and the Champions League qualifiers. Spanked them.
They were also the great Brian Clough was there. I'm sure he did all sorts of Brighton winning.
2 European Cups back to back. I don't know if anyone's done back to back.
No, I don't think they have. So
that was back in the day when you had to actually win to be in it as well.
Yeah, you've got Arsenal.
Wow, this really is a Super 8, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got Chelsea aren't in there. No, they're in the Minions, aren't they, Chelsea?
Oh, they're in the not so good others. Yeah.
Yeah, they're in the not so good others. Okay, interesting. Everton, what are they on?
They're not so good others.
They're not so good.
I heard some stories about David Moyes this week when he was at Sunderland.
Oh, did you? Do you care to share any of them? Or
I can share one of them with you. I think we all know that the club are wasting money hand over fist at that point in time. So apparently he used to get a large platter of freshly cut fruit delivered to the manager's office instead of like a bottle of wine or something like that. And he never used to touch any of it. So the club, trying to cut some costs, stopped delivering it. And he went ballistic on the catering manager and said, "What did you remove it for?" So came back.
What?
So
that's just so weird. Why wouldn't you want to touch the platter of fruit?
I don't know. But it was just a story that was passed on to me about the sort of person he is, perhaps, or was at Sunderland. Because Rob Mason, who you were talking about earlier, no questions, said he was the worst manager at Sunderland. So I think he probably behaved a lot like that. And he wasn't interested in us. It was a stepping stone back into big teams for him.
Well, I mean, obviously, though, he was at a Super 8 team at that point. So,
Yeah, and he's not at a Super 8 team now.
Yeah, so...
He's at a not-so-good other team.
Yeah, a not-so-good other. Anyway, we've been going for 43 minutes, and we've waffled on and on. So we'll wrap this one up. Thanks, everyone, for watching. And we'll have a preview out for Fulham. Maybe that's already out by now. Who knows?
And a little fantasy football update.
A little fantasy football update. Yeah,
I know you're keen.
Yeah, we got loads of stuff going on. Well, I am since you're bottom of the league, or you were. Although João Pedro scored yesterday, and I think he's in your team, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean there are 250 teams in our division.
Yeah, but we'll talk about all this. We'll talk about all this. So thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you soon.